Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion. Now, moving on, the United Nations Food Agency says Gaza is receiving only half the humanitarian aid it's requesting, despite Israel announcing new access measures. At a Geneva briefing, WFP's Ross Smith confirmed just 50 out of 100 requested trucks have entered since humanitarian pauses began on Sunday. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
We are calling for both, food and non-food humanitarian relief supplies, as well as fuel for both operations, for the restart of bakeries, kitchens, hospitals, etc. So it does include that, and certainly, as I said, we have not gotten the authorization, the permission to move in the volumes that we've requested. Looking for right now for WFP alone for 100 trucks per day. And that is a very bare minimum of food and nutrition support, but other agencies also have additional requirements on top of that. During the ceasefire earlier this year, we had more than 200 trucks a day alone of WFP supplies and up to 400 per day, including all partners. So that's really what we're looking at, the volume that we're looking at in order to be able to meet the needs of people on the ground. And so if we're at 50% of 100 trucks a day now, we're far, far away from where we need to be.
Meanwhile, the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification has warned that a worst-case famine scenario is now unfolding in Gaza, citing mounting evidence of widespread starvation, malnutrition, and hunger-related deaths. The IPC also says the man-made crisis could soon be formally classified as famine in hopes of triggering stronger international pressure for unimpeded aid. Responding, Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar denied starvation claims, saying 5,008 trucks had entered Gaza in the last 2 months and that Israel supports airdrops of aid, and which aid groups criticize as tokenistic. Sa'ar also claimed international pressure only hardened Hamas's stance in hostage talks, saying military pressure, not diplomacy, drove Hamas to the negotiating table. Meanwhile, the Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says the death toll since October 7 has now exceeded 60,000 people, nearly 146,000 injured, and many more feared buried, still under rubble. Now we are joined by guest Matty Zweig. He's a geopolitical expert, joins us live from Israel. Thank you, Matty, for staying with us. Now, what is your reaction towards a lot of organizations around the globe claiming that Gaza is on the verge of starvation, whereas the Israeli minister has denied those allegations?
Well, he has denied the allegations because, in despite of what the world can think, I don't say there is no hunger in Gaza Strip, but of course, all the sides are doing big efforts to be part of it and to be the ones that deliver this food. In this moment, the ones that they are really delivering the food is Israel, with about 150 to 600 trucks a day. And they are really trying to deliver all of them. In some points, they succeed. In some points, Hamas is still strong, and they just jump on the trucks, hijack the trucks, they eat part of the humanitarian aid, and they resell to the black market big parts of it, maybe 7, 8, or 9 times the price of these goods, when it's really forbidden. I mean, these goods are for free. Of course, anyway, it cannot be the perfect situation, because this is in the middle of the war. In the middle of the war, one side is not supposed to be feeding the enemy, but anyway, Israel don't want to harm the civilians from Gaza. They are trying to change this paradigm, giving for themselves with the US and another agencies, international agencies, all the humanitarian aid that they can. And they are doing this. And of course, one of the fights are not only in the ground. One of the fights is on the social nets. And in the social nets, you can put what you want. You can put any photograph you want. And then it's very hard to know what is really happening. I saw in your wonderful channel that some people talk about that the reporters are not allowed to go inside, and this is maybe part of the problem. And yet, this is part of the problem because Israel doesn't allow people to harm themselves in the middle of a war, which can be very, very hard in these conditions for reporters. So everyone is believing only the Gaza side. So what can I say is that I know from inside Israel that they can accuse, the world can accuse Israel for many things, from being too harsh, from trying too much to push all the war inside, but they cannot accuse Israel of really intentionally trying to create a famine or not to give the humanitarian aid. It's exactly the opposite. So you can see it from one side or from the other side. What is for real is that Hamas cannot hold anymore the political power there because they are really harming their own people, stealing the humanitarian aid and not really being part of the solution, but being part of the problem.
Yes, and Maddie, I would also like to ask, how does Israel view the role of international organizations like Red Crescent or UN in managing aid to Gazans there?
Well, Israel always, in all the years, respected all the international, if it's the Red Cross or even the Red Crescent, but the question is who was helping Hamas? And the UNRWA, for instance, they were a lot of them helping Hamas. This has been proven in many ways in all the international forums. Also, the Red Crescent, in many times, having terrorists inside the ambulance instead of injured people. We know this as we know that many of them, they were hiding in mosques or in schools. So one thing is to respect international things like those ones, that they are very important. And another thing is to protect the terrorists hiding beside them. And what is very important is that the international agencies from the UN really would try to protect those agencies and not to let them be used by terrorist organizations like Hamas, that they are not really helping to solve the problems.
Yes.
The question, the broad problem is that Hamas should release the hostages and should finish with this war, and then the war would finish in 5 minutes. Everybody knows that, even from the right or the extreme right in Israel, not only from the center or the center left. This is not a political thing. This is a basic thing that everybody in Israel wants.
Yes.
And please, release the hostages and things will be much, much better.